I had a dream last night.
Oh
It was
no.
pretty weird. I'll spare you. I'm Spike.
I'm Kel. I don't want to hear about your dreams, so thank you for not sharing it, Spike.
I actually like hearing about dreams if they're sufficiently weird, but to each their own. I'm Amanda. Hi. And we have a guest.
And we have a guest, yes.
Hey, my dream was about Indiginerds funding. It's me, Alina Pete. How's it going?
And the dream is coming true. Hi, Alina. Thanks
Yeah.
for joining us to see off Indiginerds, which has 113 minutes left to fund. Folks who are watching and have not backed Indiginerds, if it would so please you, please click on over to Backer Kit. Look for Indiginerds, Tales from Modern Indigenous
There's a
Life.
pinned message in the chat.
Yeah.
Nice.
The link.
Or just look for the pinned message.
Back this latest Iron Circus anthology featuring work from over a dozen Indigenous artists and writers, talking about everything from gaming to social media to pirate radio to garage bands to misconnections at the powwow. It's a fun, cool, talented take on sort of the melding of traditional and modern Indigenous culture. And Alina is the conceiver,
conceiver, the editor, and contributor.
Yeah. Anchor Tales, hello. Thank you for being backer number 10. And we have hit all but the final stretch goal, which means we are going to have pins, enamel pins. We are going to have iron-on patches. And most importantly, although, a nice cover effect at 40K was important too, most importantly, we are going to have Indigenous library donations. So we're excited to send these to libraries and community centers all across the US and Canada.
Yeah, actually, so we had some books set aside that we were thinking of donating to a bunch of libraries, and I had a list of 35 different places to send stuff to, and now we have had so many books donated. I am actually going, okay, let's see if we can get some more places to send these books to, because I thought that would be sufficient, but it is more than double that. So I'm really excited. I think probably some of these places will get like a couple copies, because clearly some of the libraries that have a lot of people, like having a backup copy is really important. But also we've had some people starting to suggest places that they know of. And like, I don't know every single Indigenous cultural center across the US, obviously. So having those suggestions has actually been super great.
Yeah, so thanks for helping along that line, everybody. We appreciate it a lot.
Yeah. And if you do want to suggest some places, send me an email at indiginerds.anthology@gmail.com. Yeah. I will definitely be adding to that list.
Yes, it's important.
Very rad.
Yeah. What was on the last count? We got like 65 copies donated so far.
We have 70 donated. Yeah, we have 70 donated now.
Nice.
I was just checking. I was also looking to see which pins are the most popular. Surprising no one, the Pride Feather pin is the most popular pin.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, no one's surprised there.
Gays take the lead.
And my favorite patch is the most popular patch, the Vaporwave Eagle.
Okay, now people can see the countdown. The countdown is visible. I had to do
something fancy.
And I'm doing more things, but for now, that's the thing.
Cool. Let me take a look and see what that looks like.
Alina.
Oh, that does look nice. Thank you, Amanda.
Where is Alina, it? It's in the chat.
Oops, it's in the video, but I did a thing and now you can't see it anymore. I'll fix it.
Ooh, fancy.
Oh. Okay.
You broke it. You broke it again.
I broke it.
Yeah, we got 11 people here. Thank you for dropping in on a Thursday. But we have also even more exciting news than Indiginerds, everyone. Like shocking, exciting news. I'm gonna take a vacation. It's amazing.
Yeah. I want to hear Alina's news. Alina came in and was like, "Hey, Spike, you like trash fires?"
God don't I?
And then asked to share with if they could share with us the tale of what's going on with Buffy St. Marie.
And
Share
therein
away.
lies a tale many years long.
Oh my god, yes. Oof. So, anyone in Canada was probably rocked by this news like a couple weeks ago because the Fifth Estate, which is like our big like investigative journalism show, but it's not, it's like on CBC, our public broadcasting system, but it's not like allied with them. And anyway, our public broadcasting system was kind of taken over by Rupert Murdoch and his ilk for a while there. And so it's, you know, it's not exactly an unbiased source. So I was already like super sus that they were going after probably the most prominent Native musician in Canada. Like, I remember my mom grabbing me when I was a kid and dragging me over, and she's like, hey, you gotta watch Sesame Street. I'm like, I mean, I always watch Sesame Street. I'm a little old for it now, but like, sure, I'll watch Sesame Street. And she's like, no, you don't understand. Buffy St. Marie is on here, and she's breastfeeding her son. And I was like, that's weird. What? And she's like, you don't understand why this is a big deal. So like,
it's like, you are correct,
I don't think anyone's...
Mother, I do not.
Yeah, I do not understand that. Why am I watching this woman feed her kid? It's weird. All right. But she's like, you don't understand. She's like super, super prominent, but also no one has ever breastfed on TV before that I know of. And also, like, for an Indigenous woman to do that, it's a big deal. And so she like tried to explain to it to me, and I was like a little too young for it at the time. But then like later on, I was like, man, that was a big fucking deal, actually. For an Indigenous woman to be on Sesame Street, like, yeah, Canadian Sesame Street still, but like an entire nationwide program at the time was like a big fucking deal.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, for the rest of my life, Buffy St. Marie has basically been, like, I think people call her, like, the Cookham of Canadian Native music, because, like, she has been instrumental in getting just, like, a whole bunch of Native musicians' careers launched, and she, like, has these couple of foundations that are, like, helping to promote the Cree language. I'm also Cree, and so I was just like, man, she's doing a lot of good for our people. Yeah, giving back. That's rad. Super, super rad. Except this is where there's a twist.
Yeah.
People have been saying for a long time, there's been some whisperings in the background, that it's like, yo, she's not Native. Mm-hmm. And people were like, what? What are you talking about? Because I'd always heard that she was from Piapot. And Piapot First Nations is not too far from one of my reserves that I, like, grew up at, basically. I grew up urban, but I split my time between Cowsas First Nations, which is my grandma's reserve in southern Saskatchewan, and Little Pine First Nations, which is my grandpa's reserve. So those are my, like, two reserves, and Piapot's real close. So there was even some mutterings in Cowsas that it was like, oh yeah, she's from Piapot, but, like, her dad's from Cowsas. We know who he is. So, like, I just, in my reality, she's always been super Native. But yeah, so it turns out the Fifth Estate was able to find out some documents that have her actual, like, birth certificate and also her marriage certificate that lists her as having two white parents, the Santa Marias. I forget their actual names, but, like, Santa Maria then, you know, became anglicized or francifized.
Are they boats?
To Saint Marie.
They are Italian and English from Wikipedia.
Never mind. I was making a joke about the
Wikipedia.
Yeah. Amanda, I understood your joke.
Thank you.
I didn't catch it. Sorry.
Amanda asked if they're boats because one of Christopher Columbus's boats was the Santa Maria.
Yes, good. Sorry, I don't know Christopher Columbus facts because I'm not from the U.S.
That's fair.
Yeah,
shit.
Nobody should.
Yeah.
But basically, I mean, like I was saying, the Wikipedia for Buffy, it hedges, it goes hard. It's not subtle at all. There's a whole big fat section near the end, literally titled "False Claims of Indigenous Ancestry."
Mm-hmm.
It is,
and it's edited in the last week. Like, I cannot stress how recent this is. This change, because before it was like listing all of her Grammys and Junos and all of the like big awards and her contributions to Native society. This has all been like Wikipedia edited, like boom.
Yeah.
So
sitting on that, just cracking their knuckles, just waiting.
Right? Well, so I was like a little shocked. Like most people in Canada, like most Native people in Canada, were super shocked by this. My mom called me and she was like practically in tears. She was just like, "I'm having a lot of emotions about this. Like Buffy was my girl. Buffy was like my music I went to, and I needed to feel really Indigenous. So like, man, what do I do?" And I'm like, "Man, I don't know. Like this is a big deal." And then I was like, "I'm real suspicious though, because I heard that Jacqueline Keeler was involved in this whole takedown of Buffy, and I don't trust her even slightly." And so this is the second villain of our story here.
Okay.
I'm sure none of y'all know who Jacqueline Keeler is, but if you're at all Native Twitter and adjacent, you will have heard of Jacqueline Keeler and her infamous Pretendians list. So this woman put together.
What a portmanteau.
I know.
It is a great portmanteau.
It's been used for a while. She didn't coin it. It's just been used. And it's literally for folks who pretend to be Native. And it's such a thing that people had that we have a word for it.
Yeah, for folks who are not like in the know, this isn't just not by a fucking country mile. This isn't like a Canadian thing. This happens so much all across North America at the very least. Americans might be familiar. I don't know if Canadians know about him, but Americans might be familiar with Iron Eyes Cody, who was a big deal because he starred in a anti-littering campaign like around my parents' time. And you know, he was the crying Indian who would
we fucking hate that. We hate it so much. We hate it so much.
Yeah, he's like a Hollywood guy who was in all the spaghetti westerns, I guess they called them. And he just faked. He was a massive pretendian. He was actually Sicilian, but he was like in movies with Roy Rogers and stuff, as like, you know, and shit. And he's not even remotely Native, like not even fractionally Native. And I mean, a lot of people don't realize too is when Marlon Brando won his Oscar, his Academy Award, a woman named Sacheen Littlefeather was sent up on the podium instead of him going up and getting it. He sent this woman up there and she read a statement about the current standoff at Wounded Knee. And this was considered like, whoa, like Marlon Brando is so fucking progressive. That's so cool. Sacheen is a fucking Native either.
That Marlon Brando doing that is why they don't let people accept Oscars on other people's behalf anymore.
Yeah, I'll bet.
Yeah.
So there's some controversy over the whole Sacheen Littlefeather 2 thing, and also guess who was instrumental in bringing some of that to the fore?
Oh my god!
None other but Jacqueline Keeler.
Oh my god!
Who has a history of this?
Who has a history of this? She has made it sort of her one woman little crusade to go and expose all the pretendians. So she published like a couple years ago a Google Docs Excel spreadsheet of like, here are all of the pretendians that I have found, and here I'm going to dox them all. I'm gonna give information on their, like, if they had like an ancestry.com or something, I'm gonna get all that information pulled and just publish it just here for the entire internet to read. I'm gonna give you information about where they're living, who their claims are, who their family members are. Like, she got real fucking stalkery with this shit. Ugh. And it was all really controversial because there was like several people on the list who were like, fuck you, I'm Native though, here's my fucking receipts, and like their names are still on the list.
Oh,
so that caused a whole uproar of people being like, fuck you, we don't need. Okay, so I'm sure I don't have to tell you about this, Spike, because like it's very similar in a lot of Black communities, but in Native communities, identity's a real fucking hard thing to prove sometimes. We got scooped in the 60s. There was a whole bunch of Native kids who got like scooped up and just adopted out to white families in a continuing attempt, basically, and to try and assimilate us. So like there's whole generations of Native kids who were like, I think I'm Native, but I couldn't fucking tell you where I'm from, and I don't have any connections to my language or culture or land or anything. And then some people will be like, well, you're not really Native then, to which they're like, fuck you. So yeah, Native identity, real well, and then you get like natives like me who are like white passing, but like we're raised in the culture. So like I'm sure if Keeler had any idea who I was, I would be on that pretendians list, because she would be like, that one's too pale and I don't trust them.
Yeah, this is actually
also,
making
there's a lot of anti-blackness in that list too.
Yeah, and like the thing in the always, in the US, okay, here's the thing. And this is like a joke that was going around a lot of Black communities and families when Rachel Dolezal came to the fore.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Like a lot of white people were very looking at Rachel and going, guys, she like literally has blue eyes and like reddish blonde hair and she's super pale. Like, why would you ever, like, how did she get away with this for literal years? How did she end up the president of her NAACP chapter? Like, why did someone like raise their hand and be like, excuse me? And it's like, okay, let me figure out a way to put this. You would be hard pressed to find a Black American family that does not have a member of their family that is, one, unquestionably Black. You know their parents. You know where they came from. It's not up for discussion. They are Black. Number two, looks a lot like Rachel Dolezal. And number three is extremely immersed in, obsessed with, and profoundly proud of being African American. Okay. My mom looks like Rachel Dolezal. It's like every once in a while, like some news will like make the rounds that like a biracial woman and a biracial man have twins, and one baby looks like a fucking ginger. One baby just looks like a
funny thing is when there's a genocide going on and they're like, we could breed the Black or the Native out of you. Sometimes it kind of happens.
Yeah, like the thing is, it's not like a printer running out of toner. It's not predictable. And
genetics are weird.
Yeah, genetics do weird, crazy shit. And every once in a while, like people are reminded genetics can do weird, crazy shit. Here are a pair of twins that look like they're not even related. And like that. And that is what happens. Like African American, like I did my fucking, whatever you call it, ancestry.com thing, 21andMe, 23andMe, whatever. I did that. And it's like most African American people with slave descent are going to have a significant proportion of non-African genetic heritage. Like I'm like fucking, I don't even know, like 34%, something like that. Like explicitly non-African. And sometimes that shit just goes wild. It's time to make a baby. And the baby comes out very weird looking. And so like Rachel Dolezal is not, it's not unbelievable that a woman like that could show up and tick off African American on a census list and nobody would question it.
No. I pasted something as a reference and not as a duplicate. You know what? I give up. Nobody gets their ats. I'm taking everyone's ats off because they're not even accurate anymore anyway.
And that is why too. Like again, I don't know if you're hearing about this up in Canada. There's a dude right now named Sean King who he kind of made a grab for power. He made a grab for Martin Luther King's kind of crown. Around the time Black Lives Matter really started.
You don't want to know what my brain auto-filled for grab for.
And people aren't super convinced he's Black at all. And part of that is his birth certificate says he's not. And his defense for that is, no. You don't get it. My mom's like a super hoe. She cheated on my dad with a Black guy. His mom is like not confirming this or denying it. It's like, so it's like there are all these questions about his actual genetic heritage, and it's just one of those things that like it's not going to be solved if he doesn't just fucking sit there and again, like if he actually took like a genetic test, like I'm sure you could probably agree on this, like the experience of marginalized people is not a genetic percentage. It's moving through the world as this person. I move through the world as a Black woman. I am perceived as a Black woman, and that affects my experience of the world. And Rachel Dolezal, if she is walking around with an NAACP sign and wearing like kente cloth and wearing, warning, educated Black woman t-shirt, she is sort of co-opting that experience. And there are people who are literally on her side about that. Like, she's chosen to move through the world as a Black woman, so she is having the Black experience. And so it's so fucking weird. It's so everything about it is so fucking weird and kind of gross. And like my main preoccupation is like, bitch, what possessed you?
Well, and that's the thing. So like that's what comes up every time a pretending is exposed. There's like, why would you want to claim Native identity, especially in like the 60s when it was like real bad to be Native? You would get some serious hate. I mean, like, not like you're not still going to get hate today, but here's the thing. There is a lot of funding available, especially in Canada and especially in the arts, if you are Native. So there is a financial benefit to being pretendian. There is also, and especially these days, maybe not so much back in the like 60s, 70s, but there's like a little cultural cachet with being Native in these
relatable, yes.
In these orange shirt days when people are sort of like, maybe I should care about Native rights in Canada. Seems like we did some genocide and it's very bad. Yeah. Maybe we should learn about Native people.
I don't mean to be horrible. Like, this is something that I think, well, no, usually I don't. Maybe I mean to be horrible this time, but one of the most tiresome things on earth.
People have memories, Spike.
To me, one of the most tiresome things on earth is Canadians pretending they're fucking better than everybody when they're in like, no, babes, you're still an imperialist colonial like country. You're built on the graves of millions of natives.
I'm literally living on unceded land that was never taken officially from the people who live here.
Yeah.
And they've had no recompense for it for 125 years. So
and you're sitting there like going, haha, let me write a big long thing on Tumblr about living next to America's like kind of crazy neighbor. It's like, really? Are you going to use the blood of Indigenous children as ink? Because like your whole little, aren't we, the nice people of the globe act is like super tired, especially in the year of our fucking Lord 2023.
Oh man, watching white Canadians discover the unmarked graves of Native children across Canada and just lose their minds about it and have to clutch their pearls. We're all like, fucking, what did you think was happening?
Yeah, they just disappeared. It's like, that's the thing. Yeah. Like, I don't think they were mourning those children. I saw a tweet back when Twitter was fucking worth something. I saw a tweet and I was like, holy fuck! I couldn't retweet that hard enough. You wish you could retweet it twice. Where it was all like, Canadians aren't mourning the Native children that died in those facilities. They're mourning their image of themselves as the good guys. And I was like,
absolutely.
Yes, that is absolutely it. Because like their whole thing was like, we're not as bad as them. Yes, you are. You're an imperial colonialist country. Yes, you are. Yes, you are. But anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Indiginerds, tell us where you got the idea for that.
But I still have so much more Buffy dirt.
Oh shit! Yeah. Go for it. Tell me all about it. Tell me all.
We'll get back to Indiginerds in a bit, but basically, so here's what seems to be so it gets more complicated because in First Nations culture, we traditionally practiced adoptions. And so, if someone did something real good for you, if you really like them a lot, or, for a variety of ceremonial reasons, you could adopt someone into your family if they were from any background. And this happened a lot during the fur trade times. What's that?
I've been fishing for that for years. So a family to adopt me. I would love that. Ooh.
Yeah. And so these adoptions were binding, and they were like, yeah, so you are our family now. We will care for you just as much as if you were born to us, but also you have responsibilities and duties to us now, like if we were your family. And so these are binding. Now, depending on the tribal group, because there's a shit ton of tribes across Canada. We're not all the same. A lot of people like to treat us we're all the same. I will tell them that I'm living in BC, and they fucking did things differently out here, man. They had like longhouses and like a slave trade, and shit was wild. We ran around and hunted buffalo on the plains. So it's a real different thing when you have war canoes than when you have a travois. But anyway, so some of these adoptions were sort of like understood as honorary, as like you're part of us and part of our family, but like you're not maybe fully. And then others were like, no, you're like 100% part of the family. Especially these days, there's been a lot more sort of like ceremonial adoptions that are just like, we think you're neat. So like Gord Downey, one of our famous musicians, was adopted into a Native group. Unfortunately, so was Jordan Peterson.
Look, everybody gets a mulligan.
By some folks out here, and no one wants to talk about that.
Everybody gets a mulligan. Everyone gets one fuck up. It's okay.
Right? So, yeah. So I think sometimes he will try and... at one point, he was trying to claim that he's, like, part Native, and everyone was like, no, you're fucking not. Anyway. But the problem is, Buffy was adopted by a family in Piapot. And has basically been anti-Buffy to everyone on the reserve since the 70s. So the story was basically like she moved from Minnesota to Canada, and she kind of did like the folk music scene for a while and started hanging out with a lot of like natives and hippies and native hippies. Got really into that, and then basically got adopted, like went looking for some culture and spent a lot of time on the reserve, did like ceremony and stuff, and then got adopted by this Native family, and it was like, yes, this is it. I'm Native. I'm so Native now.
Okay.
And so before that, she'd sort of been like, oh yeah, because her music had been starting to get a little bit more, Native influenced. And so she'd be like, oh yeah, well, I'm Métis, or I'm Michif, or I'm this or that. Yeah. And then after that adoption, she was like, no, I'm Cree. Because she had been adopted by a family in Piapot. And, there's an argument to be made that actually she was Cree at that point, because she'd been not just, honorarily adopted, but like adopted into the family. Like, you are ours now.
Capital A adopted, not just
exactly.
When you say it like that, you are ours now, it makes me think of the way people like acquire cats. Like, okay.
Yes.
Just pick it up on like, well, I guess you're coming home with me.
Listen, this white hippie lady showed up at a reserve. She hung around. We kind of like her. She's ours now.
Mom, can we keep her? I promise we'll clean up after her.
The white lady distribution system.
I'll air out her Birkenstocks and dashikis. I promise, Mom, please.
Right? So, I mean, but like it's legit though. There is a legit argument to be made that she is Cree and from Piapot Reservation. Even if that's not how she was born. And certainly that's how the people of Piapot see it. And her family has like come out and been like, we refute these allegations. You don't get to tell us how we adopt our family. Buffy is ours and always is, and we consider her Indigenous.
Yeah. It's not as cut and dried as it might initially appear. Yeah.
No, exactly. So like Native Twitter, all of the groups I'm dialed into right now are super split on this. Some of them are like, Buffy has been living a lie for years, and we need to decry pretendians wherever they pop up, regardless of their circumstances. And like, I can see some arguments for that. But I also know how adoption works in Cree families, and I'm like, there's a real good argument to be made for the fact that once she was in that family and functioning within that culture, that she has some claim to being, maybe, the thing is, she doesn't have claim to being Cree. But I would have, if I was in Buffy's position, or at least as Buffy's family, I'd be like, listen, you can say that you're part of our family and stuff, and that your background is from Piapot, but you do need to, at some point say, I am a white lady who was adopted into this family.
Yeah.
And certainly once you start getting raised up as the preeminent Native artist in all of Canada.
Oh yeah.
You made some wrong turns.
Yeah, that's definitely the very tackiest sort of, like, that part really, really fucks with me. Like, that's the part I can't get over. Like, I understand that it's not as cut and dried. Are you Cree? Aren't you Cree? Well, this family adopted you, so they, and that's their culture, and so they would know it better than fucking I would. So if they say you're Cree, that's good enough for me. But then when you're on CBC and like the host of like the talk show is being like, and here we have the preeminent native musician of our generation. It's
yep.
Like, wait.
Oh no, the number of Junos she has received over the years is
Would you like to
off the charts.
Explain what a Juno is to the Americans?
It's like the Canadian Grammys.
Okay.
The character from Beastars.
Stop it.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
Stop it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oof. Fucking oof.
Yeah.
Fucking
so,
oof. Yeah.
That's how things are.
It's so fucking ugly too. It's so potentially fucking ugly. And like this is something I think like Black people in North America and Native people in North America can kind of vibe on, which is like, okay, in America specifically, where the concept of whiteness has kind of hit its high watermark, a lot of white people, in order to be part of the formless amoebic amalgam of whiteness, had to abandon specific cultural signifiers. So after a couple of generations, white people who immigrated to the United States stopped being Scottish, English, fucking French, Swiss. They stopped being Scandinavian. They stopped being all of that. And they just became whole white. And they traded those signifiers for that sort of just that kind of that oatmeal gray identity that doesn't have any major significant standout thing that's just theirs. And
it's so much more of a thing in the US than in Canada. Here, at least, like, white people still have sort of like, oh, well, I'm Ukrainian, or I'm, German and English. Exactly. But like in the US, it's really encouraged to be like, if you are here and you are white, leave all your other stuff at the door.
It depends on where in the US you live. Because as someone who grew up in Boston, there's a lot of Italian pride and Irish pride.
But like, just it's sort of like the general, like, frankly, Italians in the US still kind of have this set apartness, in my opinion, where they can have sort of a voluntary whiteness if they want that. But quite frankly, I think kind of in the modern age, there is less of a desire for that than there was in sort of like boomer generations. But anyway, that sort of like that oatmeal, just sort of textureless, flavorless whiteness, it leaves a lot, not all, but a lot of white people with sort of this cultural hunger. So they tend to kind of reach out for things, and they may not even be consciously doing it.
I'm totally breaking. Me and one of my cousins are like, oh no, we're the end of the line of the family of the member of the family claiming we have like native heritage. It's like, we don't.
Oh please, yes.
No, if you ask all of our the rest of our family, like, no, we're all in agreement. We're the generation that stopped saying.
And that seems to be like a southern USian thing too. A lot of white people claiming
it's all over.
It's all over.
It is all over. Ancestor. Like the fucking, I don't know if you know about the cliche of the Cherokee princess, Alina.
Oh, I was just gonna say the thing that most actual Cherokee people hate the most is having to say that they're Cherokee, because they're like, okay, look, I'm Cherokee, but I'm like legit Cherokee. I'm not just saying that like fucking everyone else.
And then like you're
not just making it up like Elizabeth Warren.
You're Cherokee. My great grandmother was Cherokee.
Kel can vouch. My family perpetuating the incorrect idea that we have native heritage is why my inheritance is many, many, many wolf statues.
No!
Kel can confirm. Kel has seen them.
No.
Alina, if you don't know this, Amanda's mom collects these ceramic wolf statues that you can get in tourist traps. And I would find them in tourist towns in Maine a lot. And as a 10-year-old, I would buy some of the cheap ones and be like, man, I wish I had $100 so I can buy this giant one. Amanda's mom has bought all of them and has a whole shelf.
No, 5 shelves. I'm sorry.
Oh, pardon.
Yeah, it has many shelves.
So Amanda's mom has all of these wolf statues that I looked at longingly when I was 10.
One day I was looking at them because I was taking pictures of them because I was telling Kel, yeah, my mom loves wolves. And so I was in the hallway taking pictures of them. And my mom comes by like, oh, you looking at the wolves? And she just was like, oh, when I die, those are all going to you. And then she walked away and I was like, oh, no.
Oh, no.
No, I don't want the wolves. To be fair, it's the wolf thing comes from the mistaken idea that we have native heritage, which we don't, which is also would be a stereotype anyway. But also because my mom's horny for werewolves. It's a two-pronged. No, I'm not joking. This is a two-pronged thing. It's a weird.
Your mom is not alone, I promise.
No, she's not alone. I'm just saying. But also that means I know that. So it's not just I've inherited these wolves. It's because of some weird native thing going on. But also, it's also because my mom's horny.
Oh my god.
No.
Yeah.
Two great things to be reminded of.
That's hilarious. But yeah, I don't know if it's as big a thing.
Mom, there are many wolves, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if it's as big a thing now as it was when I was a kid, but I remember when I was younger, we were subscribed to National Geographic. And one of the things that like every other every other issue of National Geographic would have sculptures for sale and paintings for sale that were like, the last herd. And it was like a bunch of buffalo and like, sad, horse culture guy is on his horse looking over the last herd, like the encroaching trade. It was just like, wow.
My mom fucking hates there's that like famous painting of like a sad native guy on a horse and the horse is like bent all over and then he's like all bent all over too.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
Yes, I know.
Yeah, I'm sure you've seen it.
Yes. You got a blanket on, right?
Yeah, absolutely. That's the one. That is absolutely the one. He's got like feathers in his hair and they're blowing in the wind and everything about it is just sad and defeated. And like my mom legitimately like got some of those from her friends once and they had a big bonfire in the backyard because she just hates that image so much.
My mom's right to fucking hate that shit. It's like, it's so Here's a thing, and this is absolutely true. I swear to God, okay? It makes me think of, now that I'm older, and whenever I remember that shit National Geographic had for sale in the back, it makes me think of the fact, if you go to certain parts of Germany right now.
Oh, yes.
You know what's really cool with like the young kids there? Tattoos that are Jewish tattoos that say like Shalom and L'chaim. And also
that's worse than I thought.
And you know why? Because there are no Jews there. They killed them all.
I wonder why there's no Jews there.
And it's just one of those fucking things where it's like, yeah, it's a lot easier to romanticize the people you fucking massacred when they aren't there to actually protest how they were treated, right?
That is not where I thought you were going with that, because the other thing Germany is super famous for is fucking loving native culture.
Yes, like, it's so fucking crazy. Yes!
They will dress up in headdresses and stuff. Yes. And I know a couple native artists who like literally paid their way for like a half a year in Germany just by sitting on the street corner and making dream catchers. Like that bought them drinks and meals and places to stay.
It's so fucking strange. I saw like a Vice article about it. What?
It reminds me of Americans who are super into like Romani stuff.
Yeah,
it doesn't have any real world relevance or meaning to them. It is not to use the word exotic, but it really kind of is.
Very much, yeah.
Like it's as exotic as you can get in terms of like relevance to their lives. So it's like it almost is.
Well, I think it's exotic is the wrong word. I think it's like to them it's a fantasy thing.
It's romantic.
Absolutely.
It's Esmeralda.
By saying exotic, it's saying it's like how far. I'm agreeing that it's fantasy. That's how far removed it is from real life for them.
Yeah,
which is why when we were watching that horrible show, Kel, when it was like about what was that show?
We were watching that horrible werewolf show that I also forget the title of, but they just dropped the G slur like every other sentence.
But not just that, but not just that. The characters,
and the whole town hated G slurs, and And it was just like, I ended up looking up what the book that the show was based off of, like if it took place in Europe in the 1800s or something, because it like felt so wildly out of place in small town America.
Yeah,
like,
don't get me wrong. You can point anywhere in small town America, you will find racism, but like specifically racism against Romani people, it's like, where?
Yeah,
Where?
it's very
really
bizarre.
weird.
Oh, you're super right about it. Like, oh, they're so mystical, and it's this complete fantasy.
Yes,
It's the same thing natives get a lot.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, you're so in tune with the natural world. That must be great.
No,
You're
so
like,
Alina, in this, like when I say it felt like, does this plot get transferred from the 1800s and they forget to update it? Because the plot is Romani family moves to town, a murder happens. They immediately jump to conclusion that a werewolf did it, and that the Romani family must be the werewolves.
Sure. Obviously.
There was no investigation. It was instantly werewolf did it, and the Romani people are the werewolves. And it's like,
again, it's just weird. It's like, wasn't it in like Louisiana?
Or Pennsylvania. It was like definitely like
mixing it up with a different show.
Was it called Hemlock Grove?
Yeah, well, we said that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
but yeah, it's.
I've told you about this before, right? The White Wolf book that came out that was just called the G-Slur.
Yes.
I know what you mean, but now I'm just picturing a book that just has literally the words "the G-Slur" with little winky face.
No, it's literally like they've become a splat in the world of darkness, where it's like, so you could play a vampire or a werewolf or a G-Slur, and they have magic powers. They can give you the evil eye or curse you.
My favorite fantasy race.
Yeah, and it's like, it makes me think of like every once in a while you'll go to like, God, maybe they don't do this anymore. To be fair, I have not been to a Renaissance festival in 1,000 million years.
I went to one recently.
Did you see anybody dressed up like Esmeralda there?
Not specifically, but there were people dressed like they're I would say dressed like Romani, but they're not. They're dressed like Jesus.
They're the fantasy idea of Romani.
With like a fucking belly chain and a striped shirt and a striped bandana and big pirate earrings.
I remember.
Honestly, they should if they just move slightly in one direction and just be like, we're pirates. Just do that. Just be pirates.
But then they can't carry tambourines and dance in
Yes,
circles.
they can. No, yes, you can. You can be a pirate with a tambourine.
Yes, absolutely.
I give you permission.
Oh god.
I remember a few years ago at Emerald City, I showed Blue and various other people the miniseries The 10th Kingdom. And I gave the caveat like, hey, heads up, this episode, there's gonna be some racism that aged very poorly. And then they get to the G-Slur camp and they're like, when you warned us that there's gonna be racism, this isn't what we thought like we were expecting.
Yeah, I was this was like a long time ago, years and years ago, but one time Matt was holding a game night at our place and someone brought their child and we decided to just put on Netflix for them, and one of the things they were watching at the time was Aristocats. And yeah, and the thing is, none of us had seen Aristocats in a long, like literally 20 years, so we didn't remember anything about it. But we put it on for this small child,
go meow and they're cute.
And it got to the part.
The cat playing piano with chopsticks. Yes.
And taking the cymbal and putting it on his head and the gong. And everyone in the room simultaneously with one voice all went, "Whoa!" Wow, we missed that. We forgot about that part. Holy shit.
See, I couldn't forget that because people who babysat me, that was their favorite part. So they would fast forward to that part so they could sing along.
Oh no! I mean, this is good.
It's and all of them all at once. Whoa!
It's that cat, and then in Lady and the Tramp,
Yeah, that one.
There's
the two Siamese cats are. Oof.
Yes. Oh yes. Oh yes. Okay, Either Tales. I have to say something really quick. One of the things that kind of fascinates me about Song of the South is Disney has tried so hard to bury that film that so few people could tell you anything about it that they have had to fill in the blanks themselves with assumptions. And as a result, they have literally made it into something so much worse than it actually is.
Yeah, don't get me wrong.
So here's the thing: is Song of the South is just really boring, and so the racism is the most memorable part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And even as far as the racism goes, it's kind of toothless. It's still bad. Don't get me wrong, but it's also kind of like
cringy as shit, it's also but not malevolent. Yeah.
This isn't something.
Interestingly, though.
Yeah.
They haven't tried to bury Peter Pan.
That's because people.
If you have never seen the Peter Pan movie, there is a whole fucking song in there. It's like
what makes Red Man red.
I wasn't even about to say it. I'm glad you said it. I wasn't even
say it.
And the reason why they don't try to bury Peter Pan is because people remember
not actually here. We're just figments of your imagination.
Yeah, it's people remember things about Peter Pan that aren't the racism. Whereas it's what do you remember about that?
Not much, because
no racism. That's it.
Japanese.
Is it hallucination? There's a great native band that did a electronica remix of What Makes the Red Man Red, and it's very good. I recommend it if you can stomach the lyrics.
It's like, okay, when that song is going, it's just you're sitting there like, holy fuck. Like,
it's so bad.
This is like in the year of our Lord, 2023.
You know what, Kel? That's a very good point, because I think that's definitely one where I have distinct memories of just forgetting it. I have distinct memories of being like,
Disney
oh shit,
didn't try to bury it, then everyone would just forget it.
Usually, I'm gonna be honest. For years, if you said Peter Pan, I just thought about Tinkerbell and her butt. I thought about her big butt.
You know what I thought about? I thought about that one scene where the littlest boy grabs Tinkerbell and shakes her like a salt shaker, and but he's aiming for his dog's head, but he gets it on the dog's ass, so the dog's ass learns to fly, but not the rest of the dog. That's the only part I remember about Peter Pan.
I watched it at a sleepover at a friend's house, and then I had nightmares about the native chief for weeks because all of the kids look like humans, and then the native chief looks like a Flintstones looking ass. He does not look like the same species as the rest of them.
Yeah.
Yes.
He has
on a different
it's real bad.
This is going to explode at any moment.
Yeah,
he terrified me when I was a kid.
This is only tangentially related, but this also kind of makes me think of a few years back, fans of mediocre film that should not be might remember that they tried to make Tintin a thing in the US. And I remember thinking to myself, are you sure about that? Are you 100% sure you want to try and do that here? Because I know what's in Tintin. Maybe other people don't know what's in Tintin. I know what's in Tintin. You sure? Because a lot of Tintin, if you are not familiar, they've gone back and they've redrawn a lot of it. So if you go to the bookstore now and you pick up Tintin, you're not going to see anything particularly, eyebrow raising. But the original Tintin, holy shit, it's bad. Because keep in mind, it's about a boy reporter. And a lot of times they're sending this fucking, I don't even know, 16-year-old to war zones and shit.
An adult.
And those war zones.
Also, when was it first started? When was it started?
Oh, a long time ago, mid-century.
Yeah. So it's on top of that, it's the premise is European boy goes to various places around the world, but it was made at the turn of the century. So you can guess what everything looks like.
Excuse me.
Then
I will not.
A lot of ink black people, a lot of bright yellow people, a lot of bright red people.
Yup.
It's one of those things where it's like, is this worth rehabilitating? Are you sure?
Then makes me think of Will Eisner's The Spirit.
With Ebony White, yeah.
Yeah, he went back and redrew big chunks of The Spirit.
Yeah, and every once in a while when I would talk about how I like and admire Will Eisner, somebody would think they had the fucking gotcha on. It's like, well, you clearly haven't read all much of The Spirit. Like, yes, I have. And here's like, he didn't fucking make up drawing Black people like that, for starters, you know. And secondly, he clearly regretted it. You know, you're allowed to make mistakes. Will Eisner was not a paragon of humanity. He did fucked up things and recognized them as fucked up and did his best to rectify in the way any mortal person can. Like, I don't really fucking care. He just went with the flow as a white passing person in the mid-century America. If that's the worst he did, he's better than a lot of people. But anyway. Ebony White,
when we were talking about Peter Pan, I was going to share the factoid that for a long time I thought Peter Pan was a girl, because the first thing.
Oh yeah,
because I saw a pro shot of the Broadway version where a lady plays Peter Pan. So I was like, for a long time I thought Peter Pan was a girl. I forget if the Broadway version has that shitty song in it, because it's been a while since
I hope.
I wonder.
The thing is the pro shot was the Broadway version from the 70s, so maybe it's there. Like, I assume it's not there now.
Ladies do traditionally play Peter Pan, Kristen Chaney. Yeah, you got to be
renamed a bunch of the songs from Fantasia, because there's that one. Do you remember the mushroom dance from Fantasia?
I remember Sunflower, if that's who you're talking about.
No, the mushroom dance is
the mushroom dance, yeah.
That's right. It's not Fantasia. It's the Dance of the Sugar Plum Player. It's that suite. The Nutcracker Suite has a bunch of subsections that have names, and so they've now named them. I think the mushroom one is called like the coffee time or tea time or something. It's the Russian one, I think, is tea, because they're like Russian tea, and that one is they're like, yes, like green tea. It's the tea time, and then the Russian one is vodka or something. It's something that's like still kind of racist, but not quite as bad.
I have to say though that dang it, I missed it. 1,666 backers with 66 minutes left. I was going to gonna make a little face, but yeah, we got about an hour left, everybody.
To implore Satan.
Yeah, Satan.
So I've got the song list for Peter Pan on Broadway.
Okay, and verdict says
most of them are good. So there's no song called "What Makes the Red Man Red," but there is one just called "Indians" with like a big exclamation point. And then there is one called "Ugg a Wug" / "The Pow Wow Polka."
Oh boy.
Ugg a Wug.
So go ahead and not Broadway, that'd be great.
Oh no, I've looked up the lyrics. Oh no.
So this is why I was like, I don't think it has the Red Man Red one, but I'm like, but it was made in the 70s, so I doubt that it is better.
It's less than like, no, we need to fix our wrongs. And you know what our wrongs were? We didn't make a bad enough song.
It's honestly worse than the one in Disney. Oh my god.
Because I think the Broadway one is based off the original performance, which is from the turn of the century.
Okay,
people pretending to be trained,
which is not a defense. It's just why didn't you update this? Why did you say like, yes, this should stay the same?
Oh no! I was gonna read some of these lyrics as a lark, but I don't think I can. These are
no. Please don't get the poor tiny Iron Circus comics YouTube fan, please.
Okay, on a change of when Broadway did fix racism when in adaptation. No, there is a Broadway musical version of A Christmas Story.
Uh-huh.
And do you remember how A Christmas Story ends?
Oh, with them going to
Merry Christmas, everyone.
Oh yeah.
No, A Christmas Story ends with the turkey gets burnt, so they go to the Chinese place because it's
right. Oh,
the only restaurant open.
I hate that movie.
And so and then the joke is that the waiters can't sing Jingle Bells.
Yeah.
Oh no. Yes.
So in Broadway, because they expected the audience, they were bracing for that. The waiters are just really good at singing Jingle Bells and like busted out, and it defy expectation to the point where it's like, there's only one family here. Who are you performing for?
And honestly, I have to say that I love that tradition. I love getting Chinese on Christmas Day. And I gotta say, whoever's delivering it usually is always in a great fucking mood because they're being tipped like crazy. Every time.
Our family's tradition for Thanksgiving was always to order Chinese because we were like, fuck this colonizer shit. Let's have some takeout.
Neither Matt nor myself are Christian, and neither Matt nor myself are big holiday people. So we always get Chinese, and we treat it like, it's a holiday, go fucking hog wild. And we get like everything. And the delivery person shows up, and they are just fucking happy as can be, in a way that makes me suspect there's probably like fist fights over who gets to do deliveries on Christmas. Like, I know I'm tipping 20 minimum, and I know that.
When I used to wait tables, the people who weren't religious would usually, like, for the Christmas Eve, like, no, I want to work Christmas Eve. I want those Christmas Eve tips. You pretend you're missing out on your family, even if you're not.
And I'm the softest touch on earth. One time, this is a true story. One time, I could not get groceries, and I had to Instacart them. And the guy showed up, and he gave us our groceries. And in with the groceries, this motherfucker and this is a tip for anyone out here doing gig economy shit. This motherfucker handcrafted a card with a picture of himself and his dog on it. And when you flipped over the postcard, it said, "Thanks so much. I am using this money to put it towards my degree and towards feeding my dog. We have just moved to this town and we are finding our feet. We hope you have a great day. Please leave a 5-star review." And I was like, I tipped that motherfucker $50. I was just like so impressed with that level of ability.
See, I'm a little different because we used to play shit up that was not true for tips. I will lean into any. I did not. After a while, it was like, no, I'll let you assume anything you want about me if it gets me a bigger tip. Me not care.
1 hour left to back Indiginerds.
Like when I talk to certain people, like, oh yes, I am the straightest person in the world. Absolutely, yes.
I'm working because I gotta support my kids at home. Pop bubblegum.
Yeah, I stopped correcting people and ask, "Oh, do you have kids?" Or they'll say, "Oh, this tip is for your kids." I used to get tips like that, and when I started, I would correct them. But 9 years later, I would just go, "Thanks.
Thanks so much. I'll make sure little Rebecca gets shoes for school."
Do you see our backer train? We got like 17.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
that's good. Nice.
Ew.
To bring it back to Pretendians.
Bring it back. Never bring it back.
Alina, your story in Indiginerds is about your experience watching Star Trek.
Oh boy.
Do you want to tell the audience about Chakotay and the disaster that is Chakotay?
No!
Oh, Chakotay. Okay, first of all, fuck Robert Beltran. He's transphobic. He's a piece of shit. But like, I already knew he was a piece of shit. So okay, hang on. I gotta remember this.
We're strapping in.
So y'all know Voyager, right? No. Chakotay. Yeah. He's like a native guy. Yeah. He's on a ship.
Okay,
and he was part of the Resistance.
Quick, it's important to say I don't know jack shit about Trek, so carry on.
Okay, I want to say real quick. Voyager is
good.
the series where Kate Mulgrew is the captain, and it is about a ship that gets flung unfeasibly far away from Federated space. So they are like multiple lifetimes at maximum warp away from anything they know. And that's why the series is called Voyager. They're trying to get back home.
Yeah. And so he was like from the resistance fighters who were like kind of against the Federation, and then they were like, well, we're gonna fight because we were gonna fight because we were stuck together now in this Delta Quadrant. So we're gonna make you second in command to sort of balance things out. So a Federation officer will be, captain, but you, the resistance guy, you'll be second in command, and that'll kind of even out our crews so we don't just fight and kill each other the whole time. And I was like, wow, this is great, having like a native character in like a position of prestige like that, and in Star Trek in the like late 90s, I think. Well, I was like, this is progressive, cool. Doesn't look super native though. I mean, he's brown. He's a brown guy. Okay. Where's he from? And there was no word on where he was from, really. But also, I could tell that there was not a single native person in the writer's room, because literally one of his big sort of like spotlight things is like, Janeway is addicted to coffee. That's the joke. And she's like, we're running out of energy, which means our replicators can't make me any fucking coffee. So there's a nebula over here that like has a bunch of energy in it. And we're going to go siphon off all that energy so I can have my fucking coffee. And he's like, maybe we shouldn't. And she's like, I'm going to do it anyway. I need my fucking coffee. And so they go and they siphon this thing. And it turns out it was alive all along. And so there's a whole thing about it. But the B plot is Janeway is having a crisis of faith, and so Chakotay takes her on a vision quest to find her spirit animal, which turns out to be a lizard.
I mean, she did turn into a newt that one time, so
it's true.
A lizard checks
out. A random ass lizard that was like in a terrarium, just on the ship, and they're like, "Oh, that's my spirit animal," which is super racist anyway. For those of you who don't know.
Yeah, don't use the phrase XYZ is my spirit animal, please.
Yeah. So I was like,
you should instead call it your astral captain.
Yeah.
Hell yes.
No, y'all need to stop. No, be cringe. We have personas. We've always had personas. Have a persona. Be brave. Be cringe. Be brave.
But astral captain sounds cool. And also, things that aren't animals can be your astral captain, not just. I can't say David Bowie is my persona. I can just say like
just spit lion. David Bowie. David Bowie as a lion is my persona.
No, just David Bowie. Just
David Bowie.
No, not as a lion. Just him.
Also, Alina, one of Chakotay's other Spotlight episodes is why I never finished Voyager.
Oh, fuck yes. Oh, no, me neither. This is where I stopped watching. Yeah. So they, at some point, were like, we should define kind of maybe what native he is, because people have been asking. Like, native people have been like, yo, what kind of native is this dude? He just seems to be kind of pan-Indian for some reason. And they were like, well, maybe we should figure out kind of where he's from. And so they set him in like a tribe randomly on the Earth, but then they had him and his dad going for like a walk on Earth, and it was like a flashback, and they found out that actually they weren't from Mexico or some, I forget where they said that he was supposed to be from. And in fact, his people were like guided by the Space Indians, who were this alien species that came down and taught Indians things.
Oh boy! Oh no!
So Indian culture comes from aliens. Yeah,
aliens in space, because we couldn't figure that shit out on our own.
That is actually. Here's the thing. That is my. I have just learned this particular aspect of Chakotay and Voyager
Spike
today.
Saying here's the thing counter, because it's.
No, here's the thing though. Like that is actually woof. Now, everyone today in this modern day and age, if you just randomly gave someone a pencil and said, draw an alien, people would probably default to a gray, like the balloon head fellas.
I would draw Ryoko
back
from
in the 70s or so. UFOlogy was super fucking racist, like wildly, insanely racist. And her name was like Marianne something. There was a woman who purported to be either from space or be in contact with things from space or have the soul of something from space. I don't fucking care. I don't know the details. I just know that if you look up like circa 70s UFOlogy, you will see a lot of talk about literal space aliens, like the blondest, bluest-eyed people that ever existed, who all look like, the fucking socialist carvings on the side of, Russian, like Soviet specifically, and like German Nazi era Third Reich statuary. They look like that, except they're dressed in togas because, of fucking course they are.
Yeah, it's like white Jesus in space.
Yeah, and they came down to Earth and taught us all to do everything because apparently
brown people can't figure shit out for themselves.
Yeah, and that sideline. It's also why I'm so fucking irritated when anyone talks about, pyramids and shit. Like, you really think 2,000 years ago people couldn't figure out how to put one rock on top of another? You really genuinely
it's almost like it's of extremely stable shape.
Yeah, it's almost like the pyramid is the most stable way of having rocks pile on top of one another without falling over.
Weird. So jumping back to Pretendians for a second.
Yeah, go for it.
So, because there's a reason that all of the shit in Star Trek Voyager was super pan-Indian. Because they hired a native consultant, which is, what you should do if you're going to write a native character. But they didn't do any fact-checking on him or anything. So it was this guy called Jamake Highwater, which is a good native-y sounding name, right? Like, that sounds real spiritual. Yeah. He was not native. Obviously, he was not native. I don't remember what his background was, but anyway, so he's in there, and they were like, so the writing team was like, we need to give Chakotay some character. So they were like, the writing team was like, hey, we were trying to give Chakotay some character points. Is it appropriate to do like a Vision Quest thing? And this guy was like, oh yes, I've done many Vision Quests. Yes, this is a good thing, and here's how you would do it. And they're like, great, sounds good. So like, the writer's room was at least trying to go on good faith with this. They were like, we consulted our native consultant.
Yeah. Oh god, he was probably in the credits of that too and everything.
Oh, absolutely. So you've got not a native guy as the native consultant on the show, but then you've also got Beltran, who, is claimed to be native. He's not. And he's from, I'm trying to remember what his particular claim is.
He's Hispanic, right?
I think so.
Up right now.
Anyway, because of this, they were getting more and more pressure from people who actually knew shit. Like mostly native people were like, "Yo, what is Chakotay's actual tribe, though?" And so they had him originally, and they're like, "He's like Apache." And then they're like, "Okay, I'm Apache, and like he doesn't do the shit that we do." And they're like, "Oh, he's not Apache. He's from somewhere else." So like Chakotay has this like really shifting pan-indigenous identity throughout the entire show.
I am looking him up now, and there is nothing on his Wikipedia. Wow.
So in my comic,
he is Mexican. He is Mexican American.
He's Mexican, yeah. And I think that's where they settled with Chakotay, is they like were like, okay, he's from this native tribe that's in Mexico, and that's good enough.
Just general hand wave in the general direction of Mexico.
Like that.
Yeah. Gosh, it's embarrassing. But honestly, A for trying. It's like they tried. Maybe they should have.
Especially at the time. Like, it was a big deal to have a native guy in a role of, like, a real big deal role on a sci-fi show. It was huge. Especially on Star Trek.
Yeah.
Like, OG.
They tried, and so they get points for trying, but maybe when someone gives you a resume, call the number.
Yeah, that goes for today too.
Yeah. Oh my god, I am never hiring anyone without a resume ever again.
I'm sorry, Spike.
I posted some shade in our chat.
My favorite, yummy. Let me see.
Or Monsieur Beltran.
What am I looking at? Oh, there it is.
Oh, I don't see the shade. I gotta refresh the thing.
Geek Show guest stream.
Carol taking it way the fuck back. Holy shit.
I forgot they existed.
Oh, wow, taking it way the fuck back. Wow.
I posted that when we were talking about Pretendians. But
fucking going ham in the late Cretaceous. That's how far you're taking it back. Wow.
Spike, it was not that long ago.
Oh, it feels like a million years.
It wasn't
well, the internet, it's ancient.
In internet years, yes, but it's like not that long ago.
Oh, wow. Okay. Anyway, we're not allowed to talk about that.
Yeah,
we're not. No, drama-free stream. Drama-free stream.
I think Alina might not be in our chat.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't see it, but it's no big deal.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So I don't know how you added Alina to the call without me giving Alina permissions, but give me a second. I'll give Alina.
Yeah, we have to share the shade.
I just showed up.
We must all just rest in the shade.
All right, you have permissions. You should be able to see it now.
Ooh, fancy.
In fact, I will @you to ping you.
Yeah, I don't even know if you knew about this. This felt very niche when it was happening.
What? Oh, I can click on a thing now.
I did have a conversation with Alina because Alina asked me specifically about this person, and I was like, "Oh, they're a liar."
Yep.
Yes, but anyway, about 3/4 of an hour left to back Indiginerds, everybody.
Go check it out.
Hooray! Yeah, remember when you back us directly, that's the most direct way to get our artists paid. Everyone.
Yeah, we just crossed another pay raise because we hit the 45 mark.
Exactly.
So that's nice. That's like what, 4 pay raises?
4 pay raises, and
nice.
That's
so
the creators better money.
No, I think it's 5.
Oh, 5?
Okay, so at 25, at 30, 35, 40, 45. So 5.
Yeah, 5 pay raises. Nice.
Whoops. Sorry, can't count. 45. That's 5. Correct.
I'm the best at math on this call.
It's true. I was in remedial math classes. That's not something to brag about.
I was in advanced math classes because they told me that if I passed the advanced math class, I wouldn't have to take it in college. And I was like, never taking math again appeals to me. So
Oh, I would have done that too. It's just I was stupid.
I was also in the advanced math class, and then I went to the States for school for a year, and when I got back, they're like, "Oh, you're like a year behind on math," and I was like, "Oops!" So I had to get a math tutor to catch up and be still in the advanced class.
Yeah, I was in AP classes for a lot of things, but me and math, not friends. Not friends.
I tested out of math in college, so without knowing it, my final math class was the first half of
I was in remedial math classes because I just sucked that bad. I couldn't pass a math class to save my life. I don't know what's wrong with me.
Math is just bad.
I mean, there are things wrong with me. I just don't know specifically in this situation.
There's something wrong with all of us.
We should talk about Indiginerds.
We
talked about it a little bit in regards to the Star Trek story. Personally, I really like the Pirate Radio one. I know we're not supposed to play favorites, but I like the Pirate Radio story. I
like what they've done. Like, she was sharing some other stories of some of the stuff that their pirate radio station has like really promoted and helped. Like she was there during Standing Rock to help set up like anti-jamming and like carrying out of some of the USVs to then broadcast elsewhere. Because the US government had like an entire like exclusionary zone where there was just jamming. So there was no cell signal, and the only way to get footage from the camps out was to like smuggle out USB sticks and then plug them in elsewhere and upload the footage. So they had like a really complicated system of like ferrying USB sticks in and out every day so that they could still get updates out to the outer world.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's fucked up they had to do it. It's cool they came up with it.
Oh, extremely fucked up they had to do it, but yeah.
Yeah, she had some cool stories, some that couldn't be shared, but hell of a thing to have to do.
Yeah, because You don't want to incriminate yourself. Because then you can't continue your pirate radio.
For those who don't know, the author of that story, that is a pseudonym. And we are doing everything in our power to keep their identity obscured and as safe as possible. Because
good. So hey, if you want to know more details, though, you should probably buy Indiginerds. Join our 20-person backer train.
Backer train. I love this backer train thing. Like,
me too.
It's awesome.
I don't get what it means.
I got a story about one of the stories in there.
It's how many people are backing in quick succession. And it's to keep the momentum going, because it's the train stops after 10 minutes if no one backs. So
it's like a conga line of backers.
Yeah, it's like you can picture everyone just doing da 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 da.
Yeah, it's cute.
It's adorable. It's about hype, you know. And they do the same thing on Twitch. Not that I know.
See, someone else just backed, so now the backer train timer has restarted.
Reset 10 minutes.
Yay! Thank you. Oh, another person backed again. 2 more backers.
Nice.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you.
It matters a lot. I know Iron Circus has had a weird fucking year. And I know a lot of what has happened this year might worry some people in terms of, oh, wow, the focus of Iron Circus might be shifting away from comics. And here's the thing. I love comics. Comics are my first love. Comics are my lifelong love. I think they are basically the perfect storytelling medium. I would like to keep doing them, and I have no intention of stopping doing them. This has never been a max sum game. Does that make any sense? Max sum game for me, where the only things I'm interested in doing are things that are going to make me billions and billions of dollars. I want to make stuff that
if that were the case, you wouldn't be getting into indie animation either.
I know, right? I'm at this because I want to make cool, interesting stuff. That is my primary. That is the through line on everything Iron Circus publishes, whether it's a cookbook starring macaroni-limbed, Pac-Man-eyed little creatures, or Indiginerds, or Lackadaisy. The through line on all those is it's weird and I like it, so we're gonna do it. And I would appreciate it if you would, take a risk, read some stuff outside, your experience, your personal experience maybe. And grab a copy of Indiginerds and just kind of see what modern indigenous life is all about. You still have about 40 minutes.
You should have made it look like a manga.
Hold on.
Yeah. Yeah, that notes for the next Indiginerds. It needs to be a manga. They all need to be late for school with a piece of toast in their mouth, wearing sailor outfits.
I don't appreciate that joke.
No one does, apparently.
That joke is outdated. No one runs with toast in their mouth anymore. That's only in your Grim Gram mangas. Now they all get hit by trucks and end up in fantasy worlds.
Everything is isekai. All things are isekai now. You cannot escape it. Although, frankly, that's a manga I would read. Something that's deconstructionist about someone desperately trying to escape their isekai fate constantly.
That exists at least 3 versions. There's at least 3 different versions
Spike,
of that right now.
There is a manga about a woman whose son is hit by a truck, and she is convinced that he has been isekai'd, so she is trying to also get hit by a truck so she can be reunited with her dead son.
That's amazing. Can I talk about something that kind of disappointed me though?
No.
What?
I was really excited to watch the and don't fucking rip me to shreds, everyone. I was really excited to watch.
Oh, now I'm ready to rip you to shreds.
I was really excited to watch the anime adaptation of Way of the House Husband, but it's so cheaply made, I literally can't enjoy it.
Oh yeah, it's like a animatic basically.
Yeah, it's really bad. I'm sorry, everybody. Yeah. People are like, you'd like it. I'm like, you're probably right, but I find it quite literally unwatchable.
The manga. You'd like the manga.
Well, I mean, I've read the manga, but I want to see the anime. But I don't want to see the anime now.
You know what is a really good manga?
No.
Pluto, and now it's an anime.
Yes, everyone go watch Pluto.
And also Golden Kamuy is really good.
Yes, I people whose opinions I generally agree with when it comes to manga and respect really like Golden Kamuy, and I've been meaning to read it.
And that is indigenous stories, because one of a big part is how the Ainu were treated by Japan.
Well, I didn't know that.
Horribly.
I just Golden Kamuy.
Yeah, so Golden Kamuy, Alina, the plot is that it's a veteran of the Japanese-Russian War, right before the turn of the century. Him and an Ainu girl are looking for gold that the girl's dad buried after he got out of prison.
Huh.
And the map to the gold is tattooed on prisoners that he shared a cell with. Mm-hmm. So basically they're looking for these ex-cons so they can find the treasure. Right. And the villain is going to murder and skin the ex-cons because he doesn't need the ex-cons as people. He just needs their skin.
Fantastic.
And so it really like digs into the situation the Ainu was in right before the turn of the century. And they teach each other
variation on that. It'd be fun to do a variation on that where you're seducing people so you can see the part of the map. I'd love to see your back.
Oh god.
Well, the thing is like they quickly realize that the way it is tattooed on them is, to get the full map, you do kind of have to skin them. Because it is the way it is tattooed. It's not just on their back, like part of it is on their arms. So it seems like the girl's dad's intent was, I'm going to trick all these Japanese guys into murdering and skinning each other.
Certainly a plan.
But yeah. And then they teach each other about food from their cultures, and also there's a lot of hot naked dudes in it. I believe our friend in the chat, Kristen Cheney, described it as the only manga where she doesn't know anyone's birthday but knows everyone's dick size.
Maybe I should read that. I should read that, or rather at least watch the anime, because I know there's this one anime I kind of want to like it more than I do, but every once in a while it's like dating someone who you like 80% of everything about, but that remaining 20% makes you angry every time they do it, so you can't kind of go all the way with them. And that one is Yuri on Ice, and yes. I love it thematically a lot. I think it's really funny.
What don't you like about Yuri on Ice?
The main guy, the coach, and the Russian Yuri, they'll just do things, and I'm all like, okay, we'll be turning this off for the day.
Okay, my favorite thing about Yuri on Ice though is that the Canadian guy is called JJ, which is just the most French Canadian name ever. But also his coach is like this married couple, and they're the most Canadian looking couple in the world. I can't explain it any more than that. But if you get a chance, Google Yuri on Ice Canadian team coaches. They're so Canadian.
See, when you say the most Canadian couple on earth, all I think of is Bob and Doug McKenzie.
Oh yeah.
In the US, those are Canadians.
Yeah. Here, I'm like, those are Ontarians.
Canadian coach. I'm going to look right now. Oh, dear. Oh, that's not a friendly face, is it? Oh, no, that's okay. I thought it was
it's an old dude with a maple leaf hat and his wife who looks like every mom at the bake sale at the church across the street. they're just exceedingly Canadian looking.
Japan has this whole thing where it's, and you know what, I shouldn't even say it's Japan. It's probably something you can find in like every country. But like every once in a while they'll have a sports person who just fucking rocks. Like they'll be really good at whatever they do. Like they'll get a gold medal at the Olympics, or they'll win Wimbledon or something like that. And there'll be this like mini explosion of manga that's all about that one sport, because suddenly everyone cares about it because the Japanese person's really good at it.
Have you watched Skate the Infinite?
That's on my list. I need to watch
I have not.
There is a Canadian on there, Alina.
Oh yeah.
So the main character is, you know, your stereotypical shonen protagonist. He's going to be the best at skateboards. And then he meets his new best friend, who is a Canadian who has just moved to Japan and apparently used to be a professional snowboarder. And so at first he doesn't know how to skateboard, but he very quickly picks it up because skateboarding is just like snowboarding, is exactly the logic in Skate Infinite. But there are a lot of very funny jokes about him being Canadian that you wouldn't really expect, because like he's introduced to the class, and you know how like when there's an exchange student, like they have to introduce themselves to the whole class and say something about themselves. So when he starts class in the first episode, they're like, so this is our new student, introduce yourself. And he goes, hi, and he just says his name. And then he stands there awkwardly because he doesn't know like that's the thing that you're supposed to do.
Right.
And then he just goes and sits down. And then there's another thing where they go to a hot spring, and he is faced with a traditional toilet, not a Western toilet. There's some very good jokes involving him. But those boys skate real good. And if you watch it, you should watch the dub because it's funnier. And the villain introduces himself to the competition as greetings, bitches, bros, and non-binary hoes, which is the best intro a villain has ever had.
Can I say my favorite intro? It's not a villain intro, but it's one I saw years ago, and it immediately seared itself into my brain, and I'll probably be repeating it on my deathbed.
Yay or nay her? We are yaying and naying. We are yaying this proposal. I will nay it.
I think I know what it is, but I'm gonna yay it.
Yay!
All right. I'm the tie break. I'm gonna say yay because I'm curious.
Okay, I have to do it in the voice.
Decided.
Good morning, fuckers and fuckettes. I'm caffeinated, vaccinated, and masturbated, and I'm ready to take the world by the balls. Consensually, of course.
That's very good.
It's
not what I thought it would be, but it's very good.
Caffeinated, vaccinated, and freshly masturbated. I slightly misquoted. Vaccinated, freshly masturbated, and ready to take the world by the balls. Consensually, of course.
That paints a picture.
Yeah. Especially the good morning, fuckers and fuckets.
Yes.
See, the one flaw is that implies the two genders. What is? I mean, not Kel, Spike. What is that, Spike? You keep like, what is it? What is this?
It was not a Vine. Oh God, I'm so old. It was a TikTok. Okay. I saw it during the pandemic.
Okay, all right. I was in her clueless. Like, are you gonna elucidate me at any moment? You could help me.
Yeah, if you Google "good morning, fuckers and fuckettes," you'll probably find it.
I don't got time to Google. I'm drawing right
now. You have to say it in her voice because she's fucking hilarious. Speaking of like shit that doesn't have anything to do with anything, I am suddenly being subjected to this. All right, so like everyone knows YouTube started YouTube Shorts, and as a result, a lot of TikTok people are migrating.
I'm migrating, mostly cross-posting.
Okay, cross-posting is fair. I'm being subjected to. Oh, I'm so annoyed because like I'm enjoying it, but I'm being subjected to this one guy who goes by Two Turnt Tony, and
yeah, what a name!
Yeah, and
I know who that is. Yeah.
Yeah, he has the most enormous tits. They are like he's so clearly like this raging gym bunny. And normally I would not pay any attention to this guy, but the problem is he's also very funny, and he has my comedy Achilles heel, which is his mother with a really strong like New York, New Jersey area accent screaming at him angrily all the time. And she doesn't call him Tony, she calls him Anthony. So like he brings home a rat and he puts it next to his pet turtles, and she just from off camera, she's either a really good actress or she is being very authentic here, and I honestly can't tell which. And she'll say something along the lines of, "This isn't a rainforest cafe, Anthony."
I think she's acting just because he does this shit so often that she would get tired of it eventually.
Like, yeah, and she would kick his ass. Yeah.
She can't be this surprised for this long.
Yeah,
there's a point where you go, "Oh, you've done it again."
Yeah, that looks like shit, Anthony. You know, she just says stuff like that. She's really mean to him, so I'm like really into it.
To bring it back to wolf figures, real early in our conversation.
Anyway, wolf figures.
I found pictures of the type of wolf figurine that I bought at 10 that Amanda's mom has acquired many of.
Oh no, is that actual water? Oh no.
Oh,
no. Oh, that's so noisy, I bet. Oh.
Yeah, it's basically that style, but usually it's just wolves. It's like busts of wolves. A wolf. One is it's like a family of wolves licking each other.
Yeah.
Some of them are very, very, very heavy and big.
Yeah, because they're made of like.
Some of my aunties have stuff like that too. Like it's like weird romanticization of indigenous culture that indigenous people have then picked up because they're like, "Yo, we're not represented in any other way, so I'm going to get myself a real cheesy ass wolf sculpture and a sad Indian painting, and that's going to be in my house along with my Pendleton blanket."
Sometimes you see like this is like the craziest shit. Sometimes you see like the wolf, and it's got the war bonnet on. And you're like, okay, but that's worse. You see how that's worse, right?
Okay.
I'd literally rather be a skull or something.
Oh, my mom also has a collection, a pretty extensive collection of painted horses figurines. I am not inheriting those, apparently.
Oh, yes. My mom has some of those, too. No, my mom has those.
If you think I'm bullshitting, everybody, if you Google wolf war bonnet, you will see what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm. It didn't work out, but there was a writer I was trying to get into Indiginerds who is big in the furry community. I'm going to do a write-up on why there's such an overlap between wolf furries whose personas are wearing headdresses and loincloths. Like,
there was that one really famous furry artist who just did that over and over again. Like wolves
in war bonnets.
Yeah.
Well, like, and various other native outfits.
Accoutrement.
Coyotes are popular too.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh. Ooh. That is oof. Oh, hey, what's this? Oh boy. Ooh. And now I'm on eBay and I'm searching war bonnet and I wouldn't. But it's there. I mean, if you want to get ready for Coachella, they got you. Oh god.
Your birdies need to go to bed.
Yeah,
my birds are kind of freaking out.
Yeah, what do you have? Do you have cockatiels or what?
I have a cockatiel and then 2 linealated parakeets.
Oh, okay.
So they are. It's their bedtime right now. We're trying to get them. They're like, no,
baby.
We have 74 donated copies of Indiginerds right now. Who wants to be number 75?
And I'm leaving that all up to you, Alina, so figuring out where they all go.
Oh, I've got some ideas.
Yeah. And for what it's worth, I also work very closely with Fable Siegel, who is the I guess showrunner for Lackadaisy, and Fable also has many a bird, and there
Like
there are many calls we've had where
with birds in the background.
They're like talking in the background. You will just hear a rooster losing its fucking mind.
Oh my god.
Yeah, they were actually interviewed during the pandemic. It was one of those virtual panels. They were interviewed for something, and they just had one of their roosters just tucked under an arm. It was a bantam rooster, so it was a very small rooster. Aww. And I am not inexperienced with roosters. You know, my grandpa had a farm, and I grew up with the understanding roosters could be pretty shitty. And they had a very well-behaved rooster. It was very quiet and lovely. It must have been like a show rooster. Just
a good boy.
It was just socialized. I mean, if you socialize them, they act different.
Yeah, fair enough. Also, my grandpa's roosters, there was usually more than one male. You know what I mean? So they were kind of on edge at all times.
I like getting updates about Trunkle's chickens.
I love Trunkle's chickens. Holy shit. You know what my favorite thing about chickens is? When they go through that really awkward teenage phase and they have these really stringy feathers sticking out everywhere. I love teenage chickens. They look so bad. You can just like picture them slamming the door to their room and turning Slipknot up to 11, refusing to eat like mom's lasagna that she worked so hard on. By the way, you have 22 minutes left to back the crowdfund. I'm not saying, but wouldn't it be neat if we managed to get to 50? If some generous soul dropped 4K.
Spike, I don't have that much money. I can't.
If some generous soul, we still have 22 minutes. 22 minutes. I posted about it a couple of times. I'm going to post again soon. And then that will be the last crowdfund we wrote for a good long while. Also, everyone, my birthday is in 2 days. Hooray.
And then my birthday immediately after.
Yeah. And we have plans, and it'll be fun.
Are you going to go see the Ghibli movie?
No.
No, we are going to be basically fucking children. We're going to go to a candy store, and then we're going to go to a restaurant.
The candy store is for you.
Yes.
I'm not a candy person.
For folks who live in Chicago, we're going to the Chinatown candy store. They're really cool.
Oh, that's good.
Tell people where we're going to be.
Yeah. Well, I didn't say when. But yeah, there's a really cool candy store in Chinatown, Chicago. If you ever
I learned the hard way to be vague about shit.
Oh, okay.
Ever since me and Lynn once were talking we were talking on Twitter about meeting up somewhere, and a guy who followed both of them was like, "I know what that is. I'll see y'all there." And we were quietly like,
"No,
never again. We can never do this ever again."
Yeah,
we are idiots.
Folks don't remember. This is so bizarre because it feels like I'm talking about the Jurassic, but there was a time back in the day where there were people that were generally referred to as the monsters of webcomics. And if that phrase makes any sense to you, you probably know who I'm talking. The monsters of webcomics.
Monsters, okay.
Monsters, like the biggest webcomic people.
Okay.
They would post things on Twitter. And this tells you how long ago this was. They would post things on Twitter at the end of conventions. That was all like, "I'm packed up. Where y'all at?" And like another one would reply, it's like, "I'm at the door. What are you feeling like?" And someone else will reply with just like typing tacos 15 times. And then it's like, "Okay, cool. You guys want to meet up at X? You want to meet up at Y or what?" It's like, "Okay, cool."
We were so stupid.
Yeah, I got reservations at Z, but I'll be with you guys tomorrow. How about that?
We were so
and just
stupid.
They were very open and public about it. And I can tell you that lasted about a year.
Yeah.
They stopped doing that real fast. Yeah. But they were like, back when Twitter was way smaller. And it felt a little, God, it's like so bizarre to even like suggest this time period was real, but it was. And it felt smaller and it felt more like it was just you and your friends, although it obviously was always public, but it didn't feel like something where you had to be careful like that.
Yeah, these are lessons everyone had to learn the hard way.
Yep. There was definitely
what I think about as far as changes in the internet is it used to be like, don't tell anyone any info ever about yourself online. You should not use your real name. Don't tell people where you live. Like, they will come to your house and murder you. And then as soon as advertisers were like, we can sell people shit, it was like, give us your real name and your address and your credit card. Like, it was like suddenly everyone used your real name on the internet.
To be fair, the use of the people weren't saying like don't buy things on the internet, don't use your real name. People were mostly talking about chat rooms because there was a generation of adults who really only viewed the internet as chat rooms because that's what it was for a long time.
Yeah, I remember when I started dating the man who would eventually become my husband a long time before that was considered okay. And I remember people fucking delighted in, to the point where Matt and I would make jokes about it. People fucking delighted in. They'd ask me a question about him. And like sometimes almost before they would let me even fucking answer, they go, but you don't know that. You don't know that. He could be lying. You don't know that. You don't know that. He could be a killer. You don't know that. Where does he live? Okay, but do you know that? You don't know that. He could be a murderer. You don't know that. It's like, okay, I get it. You watched 60 Minutes. You know, it's don't worry. I promise if he kills me, you win, okay?
Or they watched that episode of Buffy where there's a demon in the internet.
You can destroy the world with a floppy disk, right?
Yeah. What's his name? Yeah. You don't know that, though. You don't know that. You don't know that. That's you don't know that.
God, speaking of chat rooms, so I've been part of this like VR conference all week. And so I've been spending some time in VR chat. And everyone's like, yeah, this is where the new VR is. This are all these amazing worlds and games. This is the future of gaming. And I've been playing in it, and I'm like, oh, it's just a graphical chat room. Like, we're just in a graphical 3D chat room.
Yeah, there's a lot of that stuff where people will be like, look, we made this thing. I'm like, Second Life already exists. Well, no, we made this thing. Second Life already exists.
Second Life. Yeah. So like, I was on a thing on Wednesday where they were like, so we've got this amazing theater experience. It's like an interactive theater night where our staff is going to interact with the participants and it's going to change the outcome of the story. And I'm like, oh, it's a LARP. We're going to do a VR LARP. And they're like, what is that? And I went to the thing because I had tickets for it that came with my internship that I'm doing. And I went there and I'm like, yes, this is a VR LARP. We're in a little western town. We're pretending to be the sheriff and the outlaws. And we're just LARPing. But we have a headset on.
Yeah, one of the things that's kind of fascinating and almost sadly predictable these days when it comes to like air quotes tech innovations is how it's clear the people who are intent on innovating that field have zero familiarity with it.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes, absolutely.
And, like they show up and say, we're going to change everything about how you XYZ. And someone will just do a slow blink at them and be all like, that's just a vending machine.
Yeah.
That's just
you've invented a taxi.
It's like, this is an innovation. This is just what we already have, except you get a piece of it.
Well, again, it's because they didn't. Again, usually people who want to make products do actual market research.
Yeah.
These people don't do that.
Yeah, and if I could just go fucking ham a little tiny bit.
Brief tangent. Today while working, I was listening to Behind the Bastards. And one of the episodes that popped up randomly, like in YouTube's autoplay, was about how libertarians keep trying to take to the sea.
I know what you're talking about, but yeah.
And they're going over the history of it. And the thing that they're like laughing about is every single time one of these guys who's founding this is like, well, I've always been much more smarter and more imaginative than other people, but they always have the same idea. And then if they do somehow take to the sea briefly, they just end up recreating government. Like,
What was this you were listening to?
It's a podcast called Behind the Bastards. I found it because Randy Milholland was on it recently, discussing what's his name who makes Dilbert.
Adams. And boy, is that ever a deep dive? Oof.
Yeah,
that's a good episode.
That sounds like good listening.
Yeah, so every episode is about some awful human being and deep diving into their life.
I also found out about it because of Randy, and I was like, I gotta listen to him talk about Scott Adams. That sounds great. Yeah. And then immediately after in the playlist was the one about Jordan Peterson, and I was like, oh do tell.
Oh, the one that popped up randomly for me was about the Moonies.
Oh God, they are genuinely awful.
One observation they make about the Moonies is you can tell which South American country is about to have a military coup based on when the Moonies start to be interested in that country.
Oh, no. 15 minutes.
Yeah,
well, less now.
I just skeeted and tweeted.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Last chance.
One of the things that kind of drives me up a wall a little bit is and I can't like say anything like on I could not for a while say anything on Twitter without getting some really weird emails. Not that I give a shit. Like I'm literally not afraid of you, whatever. But Falun Gong is a thing that it comes up. Here's the thing. Falun Gong is kind of central to my principle of everybody involved in a situation can suck. The Chinese Communist Party can suck, and Falun Gong can suck. Even if the Chinese Communist Party is persecuting Falun Gong, you can both be terrible. And that is something that I decided on after I did about 3 seconds of reading about Falun Gong, which is a religion that considers democracy one of the great sins given to the earth by the devil. If you are not familiar with Falun Gong, I recommend you read about it. But yeah, the Moonies are...
The SEO on that is great. I'm sure everyone knows how to spell that just from hearing that.
They're the ones that do the dance thing that gets advertised in big cities a lot, right?
Yes, and that's kind of how they draw you in with basically...
Is it Shen Yun? There's always ads for it around my house, yeah.
Yeah. That's how they get you. That's how they get you. But the Moonies, they seem kind of like people consider them kind of wacky because they're the ones who do the big mass marriages and stuff. No, they're awful. Mm-hmm. They're awful. Read about them for 5 seconds. They're awful.
They're like the cult you just mentioned, Spike.
Yeah.
If they weren't persecuted in their home country.
Yeah. And here's the thing that fucking blows my mind. Okay. So Shintaro Abe, right? He was the former prime minister, I believe, of the Japanese. I'm so sorry. Shinzo Abe. He was a former prime minister of the Japanese Diet. I think that's how you pronounce it. And that's basically parliament for Japan. And he was murdered. He was literally assassinated. But because there was very little follow-up on that, what a lot of people don't realize is the person who assassinated Shinzo Abe got exactly what he fucking wanted from assassinating Shinzo Abe. When people asked him why he did it, he gave them this big long story about how his mother had been horribly victimized by the Moonies. She had given them all her money. She had paupered the family. She had bought into their promises of, the leaders, Sun Myung Moon and his wife. And she had basically destroyed his future and his siblings' future because she had fallen into a deep depression after their father died. And nothing he did could draw her out of this trance that the Moonies had put her in. And he had lived his entire life incredibly bitter about this, but specifically because one of the things about Moonies is they are extremely politically connected. And that is how they stop kind of investigations or government interference in their operations. Yeah, exactly. In their tracks, because they are super well connected. And Shinzo Abe was part of a political party that had extremely close ties to the Moonies. And he particularly met and talked with Sun Myung Moon regularly while he was in office. And
a thing that Behind the Bastards goes over is 6 U.S. presidents have said these Moonies people are all right.
They make sure to contribute a ton of money to make sure that they're left alone by government bodies. And that's why it's kind of crazy that the assassin of Shinzo Abe, when people heard his story, instead of condemning him or being like, well, you shouldn't have gone about it like that or whatever, they all did this slow turn to the Japanese government and went, that's true, isn't it? And all of a sudden, just the Moonies lost all influence in Japan, and a whole bunch of politicians were excoriated and had to publicly apologize.
They didn't lose. So the thing is this is from what I learned from Behind the Bastards, is they have been on a downward slope
8 minutes left,
since Obama was elected in the US. So while they did lose a bunch of support in Japan, they were already
on a downward
slowly
trend.
Losing power. Because basically the founder of it died recently and his kids are fighting over it.
And his son is extremely fucking terrible.
Yeah.
If you've seen photos circulating on social media of people in churches wearing crowns made of bullets, that's Sung Young Moon's son.
Mm-hmm.
That's him. He's terrible. Also, Kristen Chaney talking about Ted Kaczynski wishing he had it. It would be as if Ted Kaczynski blew up all those people, and when he explained why, everyone in America went, yeah, technology is bullshit. And we all threw our computers in the ocean. That is the equivalent. Anyway, bad, and Falun Gong is also bad.
Yeah, so Behind the Bastards is a great podcast to listen to.
Behind the Bastards is great.
I'm glad Randy was
hilarious.
I'm glad Randy was on it, and now I have this whole giant backlog of podcasts to listen to.
I'm excited about podcast backlog. Yay!
Yeah.
I just I got into maintenance phase, and then I completely caught up, and I was like, no, I'm caught up on maintenance phase.
We have 7 minutes left, everyone. If this is your last
7 minutes.
7 minutes. 7 minutes.
I've been watching the clock tick down. I'm like,
if you're looking for podcast recommendations, someone recommended maintenance phase to me, and I've been enjoying it. I've been learning things about diets and health fads and shit that I thought was true that is not true, and I'm like, oh my god.
Are we recommending podcasts?
I've also been listening to the YouTuber Knowing Better.
Mm-hmm.
His 2 most recent videos are about how why America is so prudish, and it's not because of the Puritans and Christianity. Because if that was the case, why isn't Europe also prudish? The real answer is vegetarians. And it's because something Graham, who popularized the graham cracker, and Kellogg, they were
weirdos.
They're weirdos, but they took some extreme religious ideas, but then tried to justify them with science and did it just enough to
heavy air quotes around science. It was some pseudoscience bullshit, but they were
but it
just
sounded like
enough
science
to make it work.
A person. It sounded like science to a farmer in the 1800s. So so it's basically just enough pseudoscience to make it sound plausible without a religious connotation. So that way they could get people who weren't really religious on board. And that's where you get the
5 minutes.
That's where you get all the why we still have yogurt ads today about how regular are you? Because that was a thing that Kellogg was obsessed with. Did you poop enough today? And
to be fair, historically, the poop thing has been an off and on thing for a very long time, and it
not pooping would kill you. So
no, I'm just saying.
It was important.
Your regularity has been, and its relation to your health has been kind of a recurring theme for beyond Kellogg. Yeah.
Well, like he pushed it real hard to America fairly recently.
Yeah, he was following in a grand old tradition.
Yeah. And so it's more Kellogg and Graham's fault that America is prudish than it is religion's fault.
Yeah.
Because again, Europe would also be prudish.
I mean, we have other factors.
If it was just Christianity's fault.
I mean, there's lots of other stuff. I also don't think.
But America definitely has. Yeah, America has a fascinating history of taking health food and just like making it the unhealthiest shit ever.
I mean, also, what is quote unquote health food? That's
like, the stuff that's advertised as health food. How about that? Because graham crackers and cornflakes were both originally. They were digestive aids and they weren't tasty because they had no sugar. And they were just sort of fed to people who came on retreat to the health spas and country retreats that were run by either Kellogg or Graham or people inspired by Kellogg or Graham, where they would basically clean out their insides by doing nothing but drinking like fresh spring water and eating unsweetened graham crackers. And that was supposed to also be good to stop you from masturbating, which was also a huge preoccupation of early 20th century and late 19th century science. Like stopping people from masturbating was like a big thing. And cornflakes and graham crackers were anti-masturbatory. They would kill your libido. That was the idea. And then people were all like, "Oh, this is fascinating. I want to partake in these new health fads, but I can't afford to go to a country estate and eat graham crackers all summer." And that's when companies were like, "Hey, we'll buy that recipe from you and we will sell your graham crackers countrywide."
Specifically with Kellogg's, what it was is one brother ran the retreat estate and the other brother said, "I bet I could sell this to people."
That's the point.
And then they got into a huge legal fight about it.
Yeah, see, that's why I'm confused, like, why this is, like, an American thing. Americans, like, take healthy foods and make them unhealthy. It's like, no, it's just that's capitalism.
That's capitalism.
We are now down to seconds. Yes, seconds left. I'm watching them tick down.
I mean, not to say America doesn't drink capitalism juice, but we're not the only ones.
No, we're not. We're not the only one. But like these are very sort of definite.
You got it cranked up to 11, though.
Also, like other countries do that shit too.
It's true.
I'm not saying they don't, but I like the specific examples I'm talking about are, graham crackers. They bought the recipe. They sold them countrywide. People are like, "Yay, now I can also participate in this health fad as a middle class person." And then they were like, "You know what would make this sell better? A fuck ton of sugar." And then people were like, "Oh fuck, these are good." And then Graham was like, "No," and they're like, "Whatever, haha." That's why graham crackers are what they are now. Because
we have one of the authors of Indiginerds in the chat with. Hey, Raven. Raven wrote the really awesome story about VR, which I love.
Yeah. The final countdown. Welcome.
Last minute.
No.
Absolutely the last second.
Knowing Better also did a good episode about Christian Science.
Oh boy.
Oof.
Yeah, that's an oof right there.
Yeah, and the Mormons. And,
that's a bigger oof.
Yeah,
the Mormons are always those people that it's like whenever I hear about them, I'm like, oh, the more. Yeah, tell me more about your fucking. You're beautiful.
All right, we're in the countdown. Get ready. Get ready.
10. It's 13.
It's. Y'all, the video's on a lag. Y'all know that, right?
9.
Yeah, I'm on the page though.
7.
I got my drink ready to clinky, y'all.
4, 3, 2, 1.
$46,000 and $1.
Holy smokes! We just broke that 46.
Yay! Thank you, everyone. Made it. By the way, we should.
Thank you.
I should, just from experience, I'm going to wait like 2 or 3 minutes and then refresh the page because sometimes it takes them a bit to get the very last pledge in to the total.
Yeah.
So let's do that.
I do miss the fireworks from Kickstarter.
I do. Yeah, I miss them too. But hey, we can replace them. Everybody like the stream. Like the stream. It's important.
Woo!
Please like the stream.
Also, there we go. We're making our own.
Yeah. Also, I have a question, and I'm going to pose it to everyone here before we call it a night. So, for weeks, Matt and I have been playing a game called Vintage Story on Sundays, but we fell off recently. And part of the reason, streaming. If you go to the Iron Circus Comics channel, you can see, Iron Circus games, and you can see that we play Vintage Story. There's a massive playlist. However, even though our game there is very advanced, we are in mid game of Vintage Story. It is now 2 versions behind. So, what I am wondering is, should we just start from scratch on the new version of Vintage Story, which requires a new world gen to experience everything? Or should we keep going in the mid game on the save that we have now?
I think you should restart.
Really? Yeah. I was making cheese.
Oh, well, if you're that upset about it, you know your answer.
Yeah, but if we keep going, that one has no end game, whereas the new versions do, and I want to see the end game stuff.
Well, it's not like you have to
that's why I'm restart.
World.
Maybe I can
back
copy
up your old world. Yeah, just back it. I
think I could copy paste.
You can back that shit up. I'm pretty sure. And then if you ever want to play it, you can downgrade to the previous versions of the game.
I'm trying to figure out what I want from life, and it's hard.
Life
is so hard.
We should play on a custom hard mode where you just have to, y'all just have to adopt me and take care of me because I'm bad at that.
Congratulations, Alina, for making $46,000 via Indiginerds and getting a ton of Indigenous artists.
Hell yeah! What is our final count on the donation level here? We have 75 books being donated, not counting. That is great. That is a
so much,
great amount of books. Thank you.
That's going to be fucking rad. It's going to be very weird in 10 years when people come up to your table at a con, Alina, and be like, I read Indiginerds at my library, and I remember
right?
Oh my God.
I discovered that when I was a kid, and I'll be like, oh God, you're a whole ass adult. What?
Yeah, and you'll dissolve into dust. Just real quick, I just need to share the time I was hideously traumatized when someone came up to my table at a con, and they were old enough to have a child with them. And the child was not old, but the child was old enough to walk if led by the hand, And they came up to me and they went, did you do a webcomic called Templar, Arizona? Oh my God. I know it said 18 and older on the page, but I would secretly read it when I was way younger than that. I was 15 or 16. It made me feel so grown up to read your adult webcomic. And I'm sitting there oh. And I just felt like the girl from Howl's Moving Castle, instantly hagified.
See, the last time I got that from somebody, my reaction was immediately, where the fuck were your parents?
I've been on both ends of the making an artist feel old, but also someone coming up to me and making me feel old. Yes, that's how time works. Because speaking of Randy Milholland, one time I mailed a box to him, and he saw the return address, which was my parents' address, and he then asked me, he basically knew where that was because he used to live there. And he was like, oh, I used to live there. And I was like, yes, I know, because when I first found your comic in high school, I saw that your address was on your website. And I was like, I know where that is. I could go there. And I was like, that's a bad idea for a teenage girl to do. And then the me on the feeling old side is someone told me that they've been reading Sorcery 101 since they were 10, and I was I also was like, where are your parents? Where are your parents? Because 10-year-olds should not read Sorcery 101. But yeah.
Yeah, I've definitely had the where are your parents, especially because I'll have someone like, I used to read your Slipshine comics, and I'm like, don't tell me that. Lawbreaker, I would never break the law. How dare you tell me that? I would never. Lawbreaker.
Hey, Amanda.
What?
You know what I was just reminded of for literally no good reason at all?
I'm worried. What?
Do you remember that link to that really fat squirrel I sent you? Where the squirrel just kept squeaking in terror at a frog?
Oh, yes. Oh, Tinkerbell. Yeah.
Yeah. I just closed a whole bunch of tabs on my machine, and just suddenly there's fucking Tinkerbell's fucked up face.
We should wrap up so Alina can have dinner.
I'm gonna go eat some supper. It's late here. I'm hungry.
Thank you so much for joining us for the closeout. Let me just do a quick refresh.
Yeah, thanks for having us and having me here.
Yes, welcome to the Iron Circus editorial family. You have already contributed actual drawn work as an anthology contributor and a previous editor. But yeah, I guess now you're just like, you're the real deal. You have multiple Iron Circus. All right, where can people find you on the internet?
You can find me at alinapete.com, or you can read my old-ass webcomic at weregeek.com. And I'm at Alina Pete or Alina Pete _art on most socials. There's about 10 million of them right now. I don't know which one to use. Blue Sky, I guess. Whatever.
Yeah, Blue Sky. Yeah. Okay. I'm Spike. I run Iron Circus Comics and Iron Circus Animation. You can find pretty much everything to do with those things at ironcircus.com. Personally, you can find me on Blue Sky these days. You can also find me on Pillow Fort and co-host. I am Iron Spike, all one word on both of those. I am most reliably updating my Blue Sky. I will get back to my webcomic, Blacada, which you can find at blacada.com soon. I promise. I swear. I also am working on the Lackadaisy animated Season 1 as a executive producer. To learn more about that, go to lackadaisy.com.
I'm Kel. I make comics you can read at kelmcdonald.com. They're about gay werewolves in the future. I'm on all the social medias, but I hate them. So, but they're linked on my website, so you can just click on them there.
I'm Amanda Lafrene, co-host. On co-host, my name's Amanda Laff. My pinned post links to all my stuff. Don't laugh at me. I'm tired. And I have so much work to do before I can go to bed. I'm going to fight you.
We do this every week, and every week you're like, oh. Okay.
I don't have prepared speeches like you, Spike.
Oh, I figured that even just the, force of habit would get you there. But
I'm allowed to forget things.
You're allowed to forget things. That's absolutely true.
Right.
Okay, everyone.
I'm throwing your birthday present in the garbage.
Throw it in the garbage.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.
All right. Good night, Alina. Spike.
Yes, Kel.
We're still live.
Yes. Give it a few seconds.
Maybe the people that are watching. Maybe the people that are watching can help me peer pressure Spike into this.
No. What's happening?
Spike, I think it would be fun as a streaming thing.
Oh God!
If we had you do a Pokemon Nuzlocke. With
I don't know what that is.
No, that'd be terrible. Why would you make her do that?
I don't know what that is.
It would be fun. Trust me.
No. I'm saying no.
Amanda and I can guide her.
No,
this feels like
Nuzlocks are for people who like Pokemon. Why would you make someone play a really hard, unforgiving version of a game they don't like?
I don't know what it is. I'm sorry.
And now I'm ending the stream. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.